All right, what's going on, boys? We are live for UFC 279 breakdown on the Sports Keg YouTube channel. Quickly, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, get in the Discord. We have the Sports Keg Discord. It's free. Go to our Twitter account at the Sports Keg _. There's a link pinned to the Twitter account. Hop in the Discord. The betting community is growing. A lot of sharp guys in there. Got about 180 or so in there, and we're rocking and rolling all day and night. It's free to get in there, so I encourage everybody to do that. I'm going to fly through this card because after this, I got to do a show over at Run Pure Bets, and at 3:15, we will be live all day and night on this YouTube channel, live betting the NASCAR Xfinity Series race, UFC 279, college football all day and night. Tomorrow, same thing. At noon, we'll probably have an NFL countdown. And then at 1 o'clock on this YouTube channel, again, we will be live until probably 8 o'clock Eastern for the 1 o'clock and 4 o'clock slate for the NFL. So get in the Discord, subscribe to this channel. If you know what I've done for the last 4 years, then you know you should probably be here on the weekends. All right, so let's break it down quickly. Darian Weeks, Johan Laness. Darian Weeks comes in, still looking to break that maiden in the UFC. Can't get a win by his life. Lost to Barberena, lost to Gary. He's not a great fighter. He's okay. He's average, serviceable. Decent wrestling chops, nice left hook, fights behind a solid jab. He tends to pressure his opponents when he can. Sometimes he tries and it doesn't work. But all in all, average fighter in my opinion. Johan Laness, huge for the weight class. That should help him here. Carries big power for the division. And he incorporates his kicking game in well to set up his strikes. So, fast starter, but he tends to fade. If he can't get the job done, he can fade in the second half of fights. If you look at that Gabe Green fight, hurt him badly, probably should have finished him. But what happens? Gabe Green composes himself and ends up getting a pretty solid win. All because Johan Laness could not put the fight away. So it's a pretty even fight to me. I guess that's represented in the odds. Odds right now, Weeks minus 120, Johan Laness even money. Yeah, so he opened up minus 150, and now he's even money. So Weeks has taken some money. Feels like a coin flip to me. I'll go with the size advantage and the power advantage, though, in Laness. I don't know if I'm going to bet the fight, but my lean would be him inside the distance plus 195. Melissa Martinez, Elise Reed. Melissa Martinez, one of the few low-level women's MMA fighters that I'm actually looking forward to seeing on this roster. Former Combate strawweight champ, undefeated. But, she has this mysterious long layoff that I couldn't find any reason why she was. But her striking is the real deal. Former Pan American champ in kickboxing. She's college educated, smart kid. Now she'll take on a fighter in Elise Reed, who also a former champion at CFFC before she came to the UFC. But she's also a fighter that likes to stand on her feet and strike. She's a tough nut to crack, though, in figuring out exactly where she is right now. Because she's been a minus 175 and a plus 225 fighter at open in her last two fights. And she looked awful against Sam Hughes, which made me think of Elise Reed in a totally different way. I guess she's just not as good as I thought she was, because the Sam Hughes look is a bad look. But at these odds, probably dog or pass on the money line. I'm going to take Martinez to win the exchanges on the feet and get the win, but I can't lay minus 165. We're on the split prop here, plus 380. But if I was going to get involved, it would probably be on Martinez by decision at plus 135. Aside from that, I don't really see anything else. Chad and Helliger versus Haley Alatang. I wasn't really impressed with anything I've seen from Chad and Helliger the last couple years. Title liked his striking on the show that we just did because of the power that he has in his hands. But man, he's still pretty sloppy. His cardio doesn't look good, not even on the regional scene. His cardio didn't look good, and his level of competition is super suspect. So I don't think that he belongs on the UFC roster. That's it. You shouldn't be getting thrown around for a couple of rounds against Strader. So for me, I think that the fight comes down to one guy that should be on the roster against one guy that shouldn't be on the roster. So odds open offshore, Alatang minus 255, currently minus 165. So some money has flowed the other way. I don't really mind the money line price, to be honest. I'm not going to lay it. And to be fair to you guys, I'm giving you what I think about this card, but I am not going to have many bets on this card. From a betting perspective, I really don't like the card. And with college football all night, tomorrow with the NFL, we got NASCAR races. There were just not a lot of looks that I saw that I was confident in to put my money on. But if you're not looking to lay the chalk on Alatang, I'd be looking towards him in round 3 or by decision at plus 115. But aside from that, pass. Norma Dumont, Danielle Wilf. Yeah, this matchmaking is surprising to me because Norma Dumont is a big step up in competition for Danielle Wolf. I mean, her first pro fight was on Contender Series. And now she's fighting Norma Dumont. What? I mean, now don't get me wrong. I understand 3-time boxing national champion at welterweight. She would have went to the Olympics if the committee had her weight class back a few years ago. So her boxing is super clean. She's good on the feet. And she's going to look good on the feet in this fight. But she's 38 years old, and she has a massive liability in the fact that it's going to be very hard for her to stay on her feet, in my opinion, if Norma Dumont chains takedown attempts. Now, if she does, she's going to dominate her and probably finish her, in my opinion. She's smart. Norma Dumont knows exactly what she has to do here to win the fight. I'm going to assume that she knows it because she's got a big advantage on the mat. So odds open offshore, Dumont minus 350 right now. She is minus 380. I understand the line because of the advantage that she's going to have here. But obviously, you can't lay that kind of money with Norma Dumont. We're on the split prop, low-level fight, plus 4.25. If you're going to bet Norma Dumont, I would take her inside the distance at plus 195. I'll probably grab a piece of that and a piece of the split prop. Probably a half unit each because I think she's got a huge advantage. Aside from that, though, nothing else. Jake Collier against Chris Barnett. You can make the argument, like I said on the DFS show, that good old Jake Collier should be on a 4-fight win streak because he dropped 2 split decisions in his last 4 fights. And I thought he won that Andrei Arlovsky fight, in my opinion. And the Carlos Felipe fight was close. Could have went Collier's way also. But he's a, volume striker. He sets a good pace for the heavyweight division. He averages, I think, over 5 significant strikes per minute. So he's going to throw volume. His defensive striking, not awful. He uses his kicks well. I do think, listen, is he a high level heavyweight? No. There are only probably 5 high level heavyweights on the planet and like a bunch of average dudes. He's an average dude. Nothing more. Now he'll take on Chris Barnett. Shout out and condolences to Chris Barnett. Lost his fiance recently. You hate to see that. Missed weight by a couple pounds. Listen, everybody knows what Huggy Bear like really struggles with. It's his size, right? He's very small for the weight class. I mean, he's like a pear. Let me check. I mean, he can't be more than 5'6". 5'9". That's bullshit. He's not 5'9". No fucking way. But they're listing him at 5'9". And that the problem is that, he's undersized when you consider how short he is, how long his reach is. Is he a solid striker? At times, he's crazy athletic for his frame when you look at him. And if he does get inside, which he struggles to do, but if he gets in the pocket, he can hurt you. For sure. He can be explosive. But, odds open offshore, Collier minus 300. Now he's around 4.25. I think that this fight, when you think Collier just lost two split decisions the last 4 fights, why can't this one end by split? They're going to be on their feet the whole 15 minutes. It would not shock me if the fight went to a split decision. Now, I can't bet Collier at this price, but I do think he's going to win the fight. I didn't love any angle, though, that I found a way to get on him. So I'll pick Collier to win the fight. Might take a small piece of the split prop because you never know. And probably pass. Dennis Tillulin versus Jamie Pickett. So this fight was supposed to happen back in July. Pickett's an average fighter. He's a jack of all trades, I guess. Master of nothing. Nothing sticks out where you're like, wow, that's solid. But he's pretty complete, but average. But he sets a good pace. His cardio holds up well, especially in the 3rd round, which I think can be big here. Dennis Tillulin, big liability is he's got a 30% takedown defense. But when you go to UFC stats, that's only 1 fight, right? So it's bullshit. Go watch the regional tape. It's very easy to get him down. And I think that if Jamie Pickett goes in with the game plan that I'm getting this dude to the ground, he's going to be successful, in my opinion. But on the feet, I think Tillulin has power. He uses his kicks well. He can hurt you. But, man, he is chaotic. He will make mistakes. And the question is, will Jamie Pickett be able to pick him apart on the counter because of those mistakes? I don't know. Coin flip. Tillulin feels KO or bust to me because his cardio isn't great. And I just don't think if we get to the midway point of round 2, I think that this fight could start to turn. If he doesn't get the kill shot, I think he probably loses, to be honest. Now, I think what Pickett will try to do is lean on his cage control, lean on his takedowns, because Tillulin doesn't have 3-round cardio. And I think that Jamie Pickett has more ways to win the fight. And that's good enough for me, probably, in a low-level scrap. So the line is low enough where you can just take him on the money line. But again, like I said, I don't like this fight. I didn't see any bet I loved. I think both guys are capable of winning the fight. I will probably pass. Jailton Almeida against Anton Turkalj. We cashed on Anton in Contender Series for when I was giving out picks on Run Pure. So we know a little bit about him, but neither of these guys are very good strikers. Anton really doesn't have much technique. And Almeida, who has 6 knockouts and carries crazy power, if he hits you, you're probably done. But when you look at how he strikes and his technique and the angles that he cuts in the cage and where he comes from, it's pretty low level. He's just got crazy power. So these guys are kind of similar because I think on the ground they're both good. I probably rate Anton's wrestling above Almeida, but Almeida, who has 10 submission wins and has looked great in terms of his grappling game. If you're on the ground and you give him an opening, he's probably going to get it. But if we're rating just top control wrestling, I give Anton the edge there. But like I said, all in all, similar fighters in a few ways. So odds offshore, open Almeida minus 1,500. Last time I checked, he was like minus 600. The line is probably still a little wide, but, listen, Anton's he's making his debut on the main roster on short notice against a monster. So, fair play to him for taking the fight. But how to get on Almeida is a tough call. He's even money to get the win by sub, or actually minus 110 now, I think. And he's, plus 250 by KO. He's got 10 wins by sub, 6 knockouts. I think the value is probably on the sub. On the KO at plus 250. But when you consider how much time they should spend on the mat, I get it. I'd probably take the shot on the KO prop, but the bet I don't mind is fight starts round 2 at minus 120. I think that this fight may go slightly longer than people think because I think they're going to be rolling around on the mat a little bit. And the seconds seem to tick off faster when they're rolling around the mat. So, I'm going to go with the fight starts round 2 at minus 120. Maybe Almeida by KO. Am I going to bet them? Not sure. Hakeem Dawodu, Julian Erosa. Dawodu looked good during his run, right? But 6-2 in the 8 fights in the UFC. He's been a decision machine during that 8-fight run, 3 split decision wins. So he hasn't been able to put fighters away on the UFC level, although he did show power on the regional scene. Got a very good Muay Thai base, carries power. He fights behind a wicked jab. And one of the lost art forms in MMA is attacking the body. But Hakeem Dawodu does it really well and often. But he's been hurt multiple times in the UFC. If you look at his record, only says 1 KO loss, but that chin looks like it's starting to crack slightly. Solid fighter, though, for Erosa, complete fighter. Very unorthodox in his striking because he can be wild, but he's got power. He's got a big advantage in volume, which is huge. Averages 6.3 significant strikes per minute. But the problem is he's incredibly hittable, right? He absorbs 6.5 significant strikes per minute, which seems absurd. And that's part of the reason that he's been knocked out 5 times. If you dig a little deeper, though, he's only been knocked out 1 time in the last 3 years. But Erosa can hurt you on the feet. His grappling game is good. If you give him an opening, you're probably done. 27 wins, 11 by knockout, 12 by submission. But when you look as bad as he did in that win against Peterson, that raises really big questions for me. How good are you really when you're struggling with Steven Peterson? I don't know. So the odds open offshore, Duwato minus 190, currently minus 215. To me, the more reliable fighter is Duwato, and that's why he's the favorite. He should win the majority of the exchanges on the feet, and he's more measured in his approach. So he's been a decision machine. The plus 140 tag by decision seems like a very fair price. I lean, though, because of the way that Julian Erosa fights, towards the Duwato KO. If not that, maybe Duwato and the over 1.5 rounds at minus 130. But I don't see anything else. Johnny Walker, Kudalaba, rough stretch for Johnny Walker. He can't get right. Only win the last 5 fights against Spann. You know, like I said earlier, losing to Jamal Hill, Krylov, and Corey Anderson. Not bad losses. They're all very, very good. But he gets hurt a ton in the cage. He's way too wild. He keeps himself overextended. And it's cost him 2 knockout losses in the last 5. So, but he is dangerous on the feet, does carry power. Got to give him that. I like Kudalaba because he's got power and a wrestling base, and he's good in both. And if you could do that, you're usually successful in the UFC. But cardio suspect in the 3rd round because of how hard he goes. So keep an eye on that the longer the fight goes. Odds open offshore, Kudalaba minus 180. Right now, he is at minus 210. It's a tough fight. This fight, I'm going to pick Kudalaba to win the fight. Round 1 is even money for the fight to end in round 1. Round 2 plus 330. I lean taking the chance that they make it out of the 1st round and inevitably end the fight in the 2nd round at plus 330 because I don't mind the price. I'm going to pick Kudalaba to win. Probably won't get on him, but we'll be looking into this on the live betting show for sure. Yeah, so aside from that, pass. Aldana, Macy Chasson. Split prop, obviously. Aside from that, I think it's a tough one to call because the people that have gone in with a game plan to mix in the grappling against Irene Aldana have been really successful. We saw that in the Holly Holm fight. We saw that in the Rocky Pennington fight. If you get physical, you can beat her. Now, on the feet, that I'm very confident that Irene Aldana will be the better fighter. She will win the majority of the exchanges. She does carry a little bit of power. But to be fair to Macy Chasson, we've seen Chasson be successful grabbing takedowns and holding control. She averages over two takedowns per 15 minutes. And 2 well-timed takedowns in this fight can be enough. So I'll pick Aldana to win the fight. But if I was going to bet it, I would probably take the shot on the dog. I do like the split prop here because if Macy Chasson can win 1 round from wrestling ground control, we are very live to hit that split prop at 4.5 to 1. And that can happen here. Aside from that, pass. All right, the last 3 fights are a total shit show. Everybody knows what happened. All the fights got rearranged. I'll be quick. The Leech against Danny Rodriguez. I like Danny Rodriguez. Big fan of him. He's looked really good in the UFC other than the Dalby loss. I think he's got very good boxing in the pocket. He's an underrated striker from range. Underrated ground game. There's a ton to like about the kid. The only thing I worry about is, one, Comes in off the hand surgery. How will he be? I'm not sure. 2, he just hasn't faced anywhere near the level of competition that Li Jingliang has. That's a little worrisome. Because the Leech is good, man. He's really good. That Salikov win and knockout was impressive. He rebounded well against that loss to Chimaev. So I like the Leech. He's explosive on the feet, and it's a very tough fight to call. Now, as far as an angle, I guess I don't mind Rodriguez in round 3 or by decision at plus 135. But even that bet leaves you exposed to an early finish or a loss by Rodriguez. So I think the odds are low enough where you just take the shot on the money line, no matter what guy that you like here. For me, it's Rodriguez. Aside from that, pass. Holland, Chimaev, tough fight for Chimaev. A lot tougher than Nate Diaz. I think Kevin Holland could shock the world because every minute that this is on the feet, Chimaev is at a disadvantage. Kevin Holland is a way better striker than Osman Chimaev. He's way faster. He throws way more volume. He has way more power. I mean, like, say what you want about Chimaev, you're not going to sell me on the fact that he's a better striker than Kevin Holland. Not at this point in his career. No fucking way. Now, the problem is Kevin Holland's one liability is his takedown defense. And although it's improved slightly, has not improved anywhere near good enough to stop Chimaev from taking him down. So my main bet in the fight is Chimaev wins in rounds 1, 2, or 3 at even money. But I will bet Kevin Holland on the money line at either 4.5 to 1, or I'll take the knockout prop at 7.5 to 1. Small piece. Main bet, Chimaev in 1, 2, or 3. Small piece to make sure I make money either way on Holland because he is live on the feet. I think he's gonna look great on the feet actually against Chimaev. Main event, Ferguson Diaz. Best bet on the board this weekend, bar none, was the under 2.5 rounds in the Chimaev Diaz fight. Unfortunately for us, it got canceled. I think that this is the exact fight Tony Ferguson has needed the last year and a half. He looked very good in the first round of that Michael Chandler fight. Like, very good. All the way up until he suffered the knockout loss of 2022, right? Okay. He looked sharp, though. And has he lost 4 fights in a row? Yes. But they are 4 of the top 6 lightweights in the world on the planet right now. How do you fault him for that? At his age and after his career, how do you fault him for those losses? I can't. Did we make money all 4 fights? Yeah. This is the time where you back Tony Ferguson because he's going to look very good tonight in the pocket against Nate Diaz. I think that especially where Nate is, he said, I didn't even prep for the Chimaev fight. I don't care. Beat me. I just want to be done, and I want to be out of the UFC. And I think that's also going to show tonight. If the fight gets to the ground, they're both wizards, and it's probably nullified. On the feet, though, because Diaz does not have the power to scare Tony is going to really fuck him up in the pocket. So I'm probably I'm betting Tony Ferguson tonight, just to let you know. And that's it, boys. That is it. I got to run over and do the same thing over at Run Pure Bets, run down the card. I'll be back here at 3:15. Me, Diego, Johnny, Gavin is going to make an appearance. He's back. So we'll be live at 3:15, live betting all night until 1 o'clock in the morning. So, yeah, aside from that, hope you guys crush. If you're going to do it, crush responsibly. I'm out.